Hi guys, and welcome again to another quick lesson. So this one again is an extract from the NSC June for the year 2024. I'm going to just quickly do a retained income note with you. All right. So in this one, we're already given the balance at the beginning of the year, which is your 2,819,700. So that one was not much of a challenge. And we know that after we've put in the balance at the beginning of the year, the next thing that comes is my net profit after tax. So format is very important. I want to encourage you to know your format. Know your format that will allow you to save on time in the exam. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say here my net profit after tax. All right. And I know that here in the information that I'm given income tax at a rate of 30%. So what I need to get is the net profit after tax. Let me remind you of something that I know you already know, that in most cases, you will have to come back again to what we call net profit before tax. Okay. So here's the net profit before tax in this scenario. So it will be 100%. Your net profit before tax will be 100%. And then you come and subtract income tax. And we're told that the income tax is 30%. Okay, so we're subtracting 30%. Here we don't know the rand value, but here we do know the rand value, which is 1,950,000. And then we'll get what we call net profit after tax. Net profit after tax, which is my 70%. And we also do not know its rand value. When we come in here, we want net profit after tax. That simply means what we want, in simple words, is that 70. Okay, so we are simply playing the what you want over what we have. This is what we want. We want the 70 and we have the 30, and they have must have two values. Okay, so it's going to be 70 over 30 multiplied by 1,950,000. 70 over 30 multiplied by 1,950,000, like that. Okay, so let's bring our calculator and let's see how that is going to come. So on our calculator, we're now going to say what we want. We want 70, and what we have is 30. And then we multiply that by 1,950,000. And then we end up with 4,550,000. So here my net profit after tax becomes 4,550,000. There are different ways in which an examiner can bring this aspect about. At times you can be given the net profit before tax, then you subtract income tax. It all depends. You just need to expose yourself to different ways in which the examiner can test this aspect. And then after that, we know that I'm now going to have my repurchase of shares. So I'm coming here, it's a repurchase of shares. All right. And I need to come to my information, which has to do with shares. So here is share capital. And we can see that there is 30,000 shares which were repurchased. That means I'm coming here, I'm opening my bracket, is 30,000. Then I multiply that. On 1 June, at 3.70 above. So you know that in the retained income, we record the amount above the average share price. So I multiply this by 3.70. Okay, so let's come back again to our calculator. So it's going to be 30,000 multiply by 3.7. And that's going to give me 111,000. So remember, the repurchase has to be in brackets. The repurchase of shares has to be in brackets. And then we come to ordinary share dividends, whereby on the ordinary share dividends, you are going to get your interim first. Here is going to be your interim and then your final dividends. Now, when we come to information B, we are told interim dividends were paid on 31 August to all shares in the share register, and we were not given the interim dividend per share. We were not given that, even the amount. And a final dividend was declared on 29 February 2024. So let's go see if we're given more information that relates to this. All right. And then we can come and see that over here, I'll use the answer book. In our cash flow statement, we are given dividends paid. And we understand that for us to get dividends paid here, we have added two amounts: last year's final plus this year's interim. All right. So it simply means if I can get last year's final dividends, which is 2023, and then I am looking for my shareholders for dividends, 2023 shareholders for dividends, 2,320,000. If I can get that amount, which is last year's final, 2,320,000, and then I will now get the difference with the 5,728,000. I can now get my interim dividends. So to get the interim dividends, I can then bring a calculation here to now say my 5,728,000, which is my dividends paid. Then I subtract last year's final dividends, which is my 2,320,000. Okay, let's see if our adding machine is close. There you are. So we can now say my 5,728,000. Then I subtract my 2,320,000, and that will now give me 3,408,000. So I end up here with 3,408,000. That becomes my interim dividend for the year. And then I can simply add those two amounts now. So I'm going to say my 3,408,000 plus the 2,338,000, which is the final dividends for this year. And then the top amount, which is now my ordinary share dividends, is going to be my 5,746,000. Remember, in brackets, 5,746,000 in brackets. And then that will now give me the balance at the end. And for you to get the balance at the end, we're going to take it from the top, which is your 4,550,000. You see that one, the balance at the beginning, 4,550,000. Okay, let me start with the right balance at the beginning. That was the net profit. So the right balance is 2,819,000. That's the right balance, 2,819,000. Then I say plus 4,550,000. Okay, and then I say minus now 111,000. Okay, so I subtract 111,000. Then I subtract again 5,746,000. 5,746,000. And then that will now give me 1,512,000. 1,512,000. That becomes your balance at the end of the year. Okay, so I want to encourage you guys, keep practicing, do as much retained income notes as possible, do as much ordinary share capital notes as possible. All right, and then you have to be able to prepare a statement of financial position with them and also the cash flow statement with them. All right, so until next time, cheers and goodbye.